Today's guest grew up in front of millions of people before she ever had the chance to decide who she wanted to be. You know her as Nia Sioux from Dance Moms, one of the original cast members, the steady presence, the one who kept showing up with grace in an environment that didn't always make space for her to be her full self. But Nia is so much more than a childhood TV role. She's a dancer, a musician, an actor, a UCLA grad, a author, and someone who has spent several years reclaiming her voice, her identity, and growing up under the intense pressure, public scrutiny that we all watched unfold. Today's conversation is about resilience without hardening, about learning who you are when the cameras turn off, and about choosing yourself even when the world thinks it already knows you. This is Wide Open. I'm Ashlyn Harris, and this is Nia Sioux. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Wide Open. I am your host, Ashlyn Harris, and today we have a very special guest, Nia. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Ashlyn?
I'm so well. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. Our listeners and our guests are really going to enjoy this because you speak from so much strength and power, but not resentment. And I think it takes a very, very strong person to walk the life you've walked at such an early age and to be standing where you are today. And I really want to talk about that power. I don't think women get enough time and a spotlight to really take back their narrative in such a beautiful way. And I really believe you have done that so gracefully. So I wanted to give you your flowers before we really dive in to all the topics.
That is so sweet.
For those of you who don't know, Nia got her start at 9 years old on a very, very famous show called Dance Moms. Nia, talk to me about this show, how it started for you. I know dance was such a big part of your identity and life and still is. But how did this all happen as a 9-year-old? Because you were already originally a part of this dance group. And then they were side note, we're going to start filming everyone. So please, elaborate. Tell me about this. Tell me about Dance Moms, how it started, all the good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's so funny because it genuinely is the most random thing ever. It really was just a fluke that I made it onto this show. You know what I mean? I was 9 years old in the middle of nowhere. The dance studio was in a place. It's in Pittsburgh, but the place is Penn Hills, and Penn Hills is a suburb of Pittsburgh. So again, it's a little random. People are going to really know what Penn Hills is. Very small. The studio itself is not the nicest. It's not that grand, but it was our home. That was our dance home. So. So it was just what we were used to. But it's so crazy. So when I was 9, there were talks about, Abby, the dance teacher, bringing in producers. There were flyers, producers were going to come in, you could audition for this show, and it was supposed to be a docuseries, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't even presented as a reality show. It was really presented as a docuseries following moms and daughters. Okay, cool. And we knew they were between a couple studios, so ours was one, and they were looking at some other studios as well. And all we had to do was submit a dance video and then do an interview with one of the producers with your mom. And I remember whenever I saw the flyer at the dance studio, I was like, oh my gosh, wait, this is so cool. I want to do this because, dance is my life. I love performing. I love a stage. So I was like, yeah, let me try and do this. This sounds kind of fun. TV. I want to be on TV. Yep. You know what I mean?
So I love this. Yeah.
So when I went to my parents and was I want to audition for this show, whatever, they were a little hesitant because one, they are very busy people. And they're like, we don't really have time to do a TV show. My mom was literally a principal working on her doctorate. She has 2 other sons. She has a husband. You know what I mean? Like,
Dr.
her
Holly.
hands are, yes, her hands full. Her hands very full. So when I presented it, they were like, I don't know, Nia, like, this doesn't even really sound real, because that kind of stuff just doesn't happen in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? They're not in the entertainment world. So they really were kind of hesitant, and were like, I don't know, let's not do that. It sounds like a scam. You know what I mean? I was persistent. And I asked.
Of course you were.
Of course I was. Of course I was. So I was persistent, and I kept asking, because, you know, other girls at the dance studio were doing it. And I was like, you know what, like, why not? Like, let's just try it, you know? Like, what's the worst that can happen, you know? And finally, once they, like, heard that it was, like, something kind of real, you know, through the dance, they're like, okay, so it does sound kind of real. Like, it was picked up by Lifetime. They're like, okay, sure, like, we'll do it. And I remember, like, after the interview with the producer, like, I got back into the car, my mom's car. It was a minivan. I think it was the Honda Odyssey. Loved the Honda Odyssey.
We all had it. It's the egg on wheels. Egg on wheels.
And she just looks at me and she's like, listen, Nia, like, I really don't want you to get your hopes up, because, you know, this type of thing doesn't really happen that often. And she's like, also, like, we're just too boring. Like, just don't get your hopes up. Like, you're not going to get it. Like, don't, like, you seem really excited. Like, just kind of, like, trying to not squash my dreams, but just, like, keep it real with me. Because she's like, this doesn't, like, don't get your hopes up. And I was like, oh, it's okay. Like, at least we tried, you know? And that was one of the things, like, my parents wanted to instill in me, is to, like, live a life with no regrets. And that's part of the reason why they let me audition in the first place. They were like, we would have hated to, like, not let her do it. And then it's like, oh, but what if? It's always, like, the what if, you know? And then literally, like, a month later, I got a phone call. We got a phone call. We were eating dinner.
Your mom was like, no.
No, yeah, my mom was just like, what did I just get myself into? Yeah, but that's really how it happened. I mean, it's very random. Like, we didn't even really go looking for it. It just, like, came to us, and they just happened to pick my mom and I for the show.
Yeah, it's also really special, especially as a mom who's raising Black children, to see you represented in that. I think that, to me, is so powerful. Did you even understand the weight of that when you were originally one of the OGs and you were the only little Black girl on that TV show in that squad? Like, did you really even understand how powerful that representation was for little girls like my daughter? Like, or did that not clock at that early age? Like, you didn't see all of the race, and you didn't see all of the racial undertone. Like, did you, like, tell me about that. Like, as a kid, especially as a 9-year-old, or you were just like, listen, this is fun for me, and life is about joy. At the time, nothing really clocked when it came to that.
Well, I honestly, like, genuinely, I think I always kind of understood that. And as I got older, like, it was more pronounced, but, like, as a child, like, I understood that, you know, whenever you're, like, a Black child, especially growing up in, like, a lot of white environments, because I went to, like, a predominantly white, like, private school in Pittsburgh as well. So I already had the talk where it's like, okay, well, you have to be twice as good. You have to, like, don't do anything too crazy, because, like, they're gonna look at you as, like, you know what I mean? So I already kind of knew how to move through life, knowing that there's a double standard, even if it wasn't, like, all the way there, I had an understanding of that. And whenever I joined the show, it wasn't like it wasn't any different. Like, I knew that, and and my mom would stress to me a lot. I mean, when I was younger, like a kid, it wasn't as I feel like she wouldn't have to bring it up as often, but as I got older and as I became more vocal, she would have to like have conversations with me like, Nia, like you can't get too upset. You can't look a certain way. And it's not like she was saying like don't be yourself, don't be you. It's not that. It's not that. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, we have to protect ourselves because if we don't protect
Mm-hmm.
ourselves, they're going to make a story out of an eye roll,
Correct.
out of me
Correct.
talking back. And it's like I'm not, and it's not even me like talking back, I'm standing up for myself, but because I don't have control over how the story gets told, my narrative can easily get spun. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's just always being aware of that, or else
Mm.
you get labeled. And I mean, at the very beginning of the show, I got labeled from the get-go as a weak link, as a bad dancer, as the little black girl who couldn't keep up. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So for me, I felt like I already had like this target on my back. I already was failing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and that's like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of weight to carry as a 9-year-old. And I think for those of you who didn't watch, um, it was like, it was tough. Like, there was a lot of racial undertones, and I'm sure a lot were not shown to
Right.
save
Yeah.
face on that show.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say that the teacher, and we won't name names, but she was not. It was very clear. Let's just say that. It was
Yeah.
very clear how you were being treated. The power of your mom protecting you was so beautiful. And it's I love it as being a mom and the lengths that you'll go to
Mm-hmm.
give your child the room and freedom to do what they want. Meanwhile, creating like safe boundaries and guardrails to
Yeah.
be like, absolutely not. But my
Mm-hmm.
question to you is, when did you realize you were being treated differently by your dance teacher than the other kids in the class? Like, when did you clock it?
Um, I think I always just kind of knew, cause
Mm.
also before the show had even started, all of my solos before, like every year I would have a solo. So I had like 3 solos technically before the show started. And each one was like had a racial undertone or like a little dig or something. Like my first solo was called Natty of the Jungle. Um, and like I didn't really I didn't understand exactly like why
Yeah,
at the time that was like so bad. I was like literally a little girl raised
a
by monkeys who
baby.
didn't
Yeah.
bathe, ate bananas. You know, like what? What?
Yeah.
Crazy. But also I was like 7 years old, so excited to finally have a solo. Like that was
Yeah.
like a dream of mine at 7 years old. So that part didn't like sink in, but I knew that
Mm-hmm.
I was treated differently because other girls didn't have solos like that. Other girls had really
Mm-hmm.
beautiful solos, really beautiful music. They wore beautiful, like cute little like leotards with skirts with rhinestones, beautiful colors, and I'm like in this kind of like raggedy kind of costume. It did still have some rhinestones on it, but like but like I felt it.
Yeah.
I felt it. And like solos after that too, like my solo right before the show started was to Waka Waka, the Shakira song. It was for
Mm-hmm.
like the World Cup, yeah. And
Yep.
whenever Africa won, and it was just like anytime like she heard my dance teacher heard like the word or Africa, heard Africa, she was like, "Oh my gosh, Nia!" Like that's and it's it's like so
Okay,
weird.
girl.
Yeah, it's so
Read a
weird.
book.
But read a book, and it's like you do understand, like, yes, I'm African American, but I'm also like not African. You know what I mean?
It's just
Anyway,
so embarrassing, girl. It
no,
is
it
so
is, it is.
embarrassing.
But whenever you're so like I understood that I had like different I was treated differently, but I
Mm.
didn't fully understand the reason why. Does that make
Mm.
sense? Like I understand like
Totally.
I saw that. Yeah.
Nia, you're like, You're a child. How do you process
Yes,
being
yeah.
treated differently when you don't even have the language for it yet?
Exactly. And that's where,
That part,
yes.
that's what people don't realize. Like, you are
Yeah.
a 7 to 9-year-old child who understands the weight you're carrying because you've had to carry that probably since you were born. And now you're
Yeah.
like trying to process that weight without even really having the language to do so.
Uh-huh.
I just am like, how did that shape the way you felt about yourself when you would come home from this, environment?
Well, I think for me, I have a really strong family support system,
Mm-hmm.
like I have good people around me. So like when I'm not on when I wasn't on set or like doing the show, like I was good at home, like
Mm-hmm.
my mom would remind me how beautiful I was, why I was important, like she would build me up, So
Yeah.
even though I didn't feel like wanted, or I felt like I was being treated differently, um and when things got really bad, like I did have her to lean on,
Mm-hmm.
along with like the rest of my family, like,
Yeah.
and I think that's just like, the reason why I'm so well adjusted today is because I
Yeah.
had a good support. If I didn't have that support, I think it would have turned out much like it would have been
Of
different.
course.
It would have
Yeah.
been different. And also, like, I just wanted to say, like, to your point about like you're like, well, you couldn't even articulate like how you were feeling because you were 7 to 9 years old before the show even started, and then you were literally 9. That's a child. That's a child.
Mm-hmm.
And to that point, I sometimes, like with releasing my book and everything, the feedback has been wonderful. People have been
Mm-hmm.
so receptive, but there are some people who have said, like, what, like, why are you talking about this now? Why, like, this happened so long ago. Why does it matter now? Well, one, because everyone's story matters, one. But
I'm taking my narrative
also,
back, my story
I'm
back, my
taking my
life
narrative
back.
back. And also,
Yeah.
like you said, I was a child. I
Child.
didn't have the bandwidth to talk about how I was feeling because I didn't exactly know how I felt, or like could articulate how I didn't have those tools. Like,
Mm-mm.
even I ended the show when I was like 15, 16, and even at that, like, you have an understanding, but you still are young.
You're still a
Like, you're
child.
still
You're
a
still a child.
Like, I look at like 15, 16, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're babies. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, no, like, because I needed time to grow up and understand everything. And
Yeah.
I still don't have still don't have everything
We're all
figured out. But
figuring it out.
yeah, but I think that's like a great point that you brought up, where it's like I was a child, like, and I was in it, and you're in survival mode when you're in
Yes.
it. So it's like, how are you even supposed to like sort through everything and talk about something when you're still in it and you don't even really realize everything that's going on?
Well, you just nailed it there. You spoke about survival mode, and I'm very open about what sport has given me and how grateful I am for it, but also what it's taken from me. And
Yeah.
it's an important question to ask because I say this very often in sport and dance and organized sport, single sport. You get very comfortable abandoning yourself and your feelings for the greater good of everything else because that's what you're taught. I'm curious what this experience taught you, whether about perseverance, but most importantly, I want to know, what did it take from you?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's a kind
That's
of
a great
heavy question,
No,
but
but it's a good question.
I like to ask myself that a lot of times. And I'll share because I do think joy became impossible for me because if I was sitting in the happiness of success, I wasn't doing the work. Like I needed, it was always like moving on to the next, to the next. It was, you win a World Cup, you go to an Olympics. It's just like, you don't sit in that you just keep moving, you keep climbing, you keep working harder, and you keep trying to make the next cut. And it's interesting when I think back now as a 40-year-old adult, I'm like, damn, did I even give myself a chance to enjoy it? Or was I in
Mm-hmm.
survival mode? It's
Mm-hmm.
a really interesting thing. So I want to know what it taught you, but also what it took from you.
Yeah. Um, so much. I mean, it gave me a lot. It taught me a lot, but it also it took a lot. Like there was a lot of sacrifice
Mm-hmm.
for me, like me doing that show, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just like, oh, like the missed birthday parties and the missed special events and
Mm-hmm.
you're working on your birthday. It's like it's not even it's not even that, like, because I feel like a lot of people, especially like in dance who are doing sports, like they experience that, you know, where it's like you have to
Mm-hmm.
give up certain things to be able to be at a certain level, to be able to travel with your team, you know.
Yeah.
um but for me, I feel like similarly to yours, like I think joy is a really big part. Towards like the end of the show, it took that emotion out of me. I was like a robot, like
Oh,
genuinely.
wow.
Like move
Mm-hmm.
like you said, like just moving on to the next thing, like I didn't really things got so tough and so hard where I didn't even process things anymore. Like I was so used to it. I just felt like a punching bag, you know? So it's
No,
like
you were trained to be a machine, so you
I was trained
operated
to be a
like one.
machine, and my dance teacher, you know, her phrase was save your tears for the pillow. So if we cried, we get in trouble.
Wow.
So it's like when you're in a situation like that where you're taught that crying is bad and crying means you're weak, you're gonna try your best, especially as the weak link, not to cry. And I'm not saying I
Mm.
didn't ever cry, but like I didn't really cry that much. I kept it all in. And later in the seasons, like you see when I first start the show, I was so happy. I was so
Mm-hmm.
joyful. I was, you know, and that joy, you know, didn't sit well with my dance teacher. You know, like whenever she saw me being joyful, being happy, like she would try and squash it. Squash it.
Mm.
No emotion. You shouldn't be happy. You didn't win, you shouldn't be happy. You didn't do X, Y, and Z,
Mm.
you shouldn't be happy. Why are you so happy? You know, it's like it's
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So as I got older, I learned to suppress all of my emotion, whether it was happy, whether it was sad. So it's just like it's easier if I
Mm-hmm.
just keep a blank face, if I just stay neutral, you know? And every now and then, you know, I would speak up about things, but it's like it's easier if I don't have emotion because then it kind of rolls off your back. It's not true. It does
Wow.
not roll off
Yeah.
your back.
It
It just
sure
pents
doesn't.
up.
It's
But
like
yeah,
we
I would
keep
say that.
stuffing it until it explodes.
Exactly, exactly. So I would say that's something that, you know, that definitely was taken away from me, would be like my emotions, my
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy because like I'm an empath, so I feel things really
I'm
deeply. So
same.
like really deeply, where it truly does like affect my mood, how other people are feeling, how, you
Mm-hmm.
know, so it's like those things really do affect me. So being that kind of person and then like having to suppress all of that and pretend that nothing phases me,
Mm.
that's really hard. That's really hard. And that's still something I'm working on, like not trying
Yeah,
to and I'm doing better, but it's just like that's something that stays with you, and that's going to be like a
of course.
lifelong thing that I have to go through and work on, being okay with like having emotions, because I was taught that having emotions were bad and made you
Mm-hmm.
weak.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that, and I'm curious now as like the older version and the not older, you're still a child to me, but like what has your like what is your relationship now with your body and your voice and your confidence? Like how has that changed now since
Hmm.
that little girl you were just talking about?
I mean, it's changed a lot. I mean, I feel like fairly comfortable in my own skin now, you know? Especially like the
Yeah.
body,
Mhm.
um the body image part. I feel like for me, that just it took age, and it took just more life to just like really
Yeah.
understand like the way my body looks doesn't always like matter, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
not like actually
Mm-hmm.
like the biggest thing in the world. Like there are
Mm-hmm.
way bigger issues in the
Yeah.
way my body looks. So that's something that, again, I just feel like as a woman, as well as a woman of color, like I'm like it's something that I'm going to think about, but it's not something that is, in my head a lot. Like I don't think about
Yeah.
that as much, which I think is a huge win. I think it's a huge
Yep.
win because yeah, it doesn't consume my whole life. And yes, of course, like like we have good days and bad days, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's just part
Yeah.
of being a human. Like that just happens. But I would say for the most part, like I think part of it is like, I think my mom, I think she always just
Mm-hmm.
reminded me like that, that I'm okay, like I look good the way I look. There's nothing wrong with the way I look. Um and I think that's just part of it. I think
Yeah.
just for me, age, and I think that there's also just like a lot of other things that for me are more important than the way I look. And I think
Yeah.
it helps me keep things into perspective.
Yeah.
So I think that helps me a lot. And yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think on the show it was hard for me. I was always trying to like cover up and stuff because like my body was changing. I was going through puberty. Um
Mm-hmm.
and like we're wearing like these tiny little costumes, like my legs are out, like my butt is low-key out, like
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
really hard to hide. So like I would try my best to hide my body when I could, because I was just like not comfortable in it,
Comfortable.
because
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't comfortable in it because I was curvy. Like I had hips, I had breasts, like it just
Yeah.
wasn't.
Well,
Yeah.
Billie Jean King said this, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. She said, "Young girls are taught to be perfect. Young boys are taught to be brave." So
Mm,
that identity of being perfect, having perfect hair, perfect skin,
mm-hmm.
the perfect weight, like we carry that
Mm-hmm.
forever, and
Forever. Mm-hmm.
men want to be, or boys, they want to be powerful, they want to be brave, they want to be strong, right? And it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's such a beautiful thing to talk about because it is so important. So many young
Mm-hmm.
girls are being molded 24/7 through marketing, media, advertising, you fucking name it, to be
Mm-hmm.
perfect. And
Yeah.
it's like there's no such thing as perfect people. People used to
Yeah.
always say in training, what is it? Like there was like the saying about practice makes perfect. I
Mm-hmm.
heard it over and over and over, and you become fixated on it because you
Right.
think you're seeking perfection when it does not exist.
When
Perfection
it
does not
does not
exist.
exist.
It
Yeah.
does not exist. No one is perfect. No
Yeah.
one.
No
And
one.
I think it's a good thing that us women have to constantly talk about, because I don't want my young daughter to think she has to be perfect at everything she does to get what she needs to be successful, to do like we are humans. We are
Mm-hmm.
flawed humans with stories, and there's broken pieces, and life is hard, and we have grief, and we carry shame, and it's like we don't need the weight of everything else. And little
No,
girls,
we
especially
don't.
9 years old, don't need to carry it. And
Yeah.
like, I know what it's like to be defined by one chapter. How did you trust when you stepped away from this that you weren't going to be defined by this one segment and one chapter of your life? Because you are blooming, you are blossoming, you are a New York best-selling author right now, taking your narrative back, for everyone who doesn't know, Nia just came out with a book called Bottom of the Pyramid. So I'm curious, talk about this new chapter of your life and taking back your narrative. Tell me about why you chose the name of this book.
Well, I think that, like, what you said, like, how did I know, like, I wasn't going to be defined by that, or like how I was gonna like
Mm-hmm.
move through life. And it's like, honestly, like I didn't know how. I just worked really hard to
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I didn't know it was all gonna work out. But like I had faith that it
Yeah.
would. But, I just worked my butt off. Like after the show ended, like I've been moving.
Yeah,
I've
you
been
have.
moving. I've been working really hard so that hopefully one day I'm not like defined by the show
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
in how I in my title on that show. And part of the reason why I titled my book Bottom of the Pyramid was because I finally realized, listen, I was like, you know what? Wait a minute. I am kind of known for being at the bottom of the pyramid. It was my title. That was something that I didn't really have any control over, but that's
Mm-hmm.
how people saw me. That's how I was perceived for all of my life. And I'm living my life, you know, I have a beautiful life, but I'm living my life, and people in my head at least, I felt still saw me that
Yeah.
way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I can't control how people see me or how people view me. I can try my best, but there's only so much you can do, like they don't know but I was like, you know what? They don't know the full story. So why don't
Yep.
we take this title that's so negative and something that
Mm.
is so hurtful and turn it into something positive, turning into a learning experience, turning into something that I know other people probably feel the same way. Like, how do I start from the bottom? Or how does someone give you the title of being at the bottom of the pyramid? And how do you go through your life like that?
Mm.
How do we flip it around? How do we make it into something that isn't a bad thing?
Mm-hmm.
Because for a long time I saw it as something that was bad, but really it was starting at the bottom isn't the worst thing in the world. Starting at the bottom honestly makes the journey so much more rewarding.
Yep.
So I wanted
Only
to
one way to go,
reframe.
honey. Only
Only
one way to
one way to
go.
go. Only one way to
We
go.
rise. We
We
rise.
rise. So that was part of the reason why, for me, I felt like it was important to write the book, but also important to title the book Bottom of the Pyramid, because
Mm-hmm.
it really speaks to my story and in how I grew up.
It's very beautiful and it's very powerful. And I want to give the listeners a little context, if I may, because I
Absolutely.
know the experience you lived. When we were younger, for you listeners out there, during very similar time, I went to college at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, and we were all on a ranking system. Every week, you were ranked 1 to, I don't know, 27, 30 players. And every week you would get your ranking for everything. I mean, fitness, how you dribbled the ball, how many goals you scored, how many 1v1. Like, it was just a competitive place to be. And you always knew where you were because you were ranked. And it was posted at the facility, not just for our team, for everyone to see, because it's accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is what happened on this show, to give everyone context. You all were weekly, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Scaled from top to bottom. And your
Yes.
face was like, it was like a printout.
Yeah, like a printed out
To
headshot.
headshot of where you guys gals lined up for that week, and you were ranked top to bottom. So to give everyone context of the way we were raised in sport is very different than the way it is today. I don't know if that is still a thing anymore, but it was hard and it was cutthroat. And there was no room for misunderstanding. Why am I not playing? Why am I not getting the lead role? A sheet would be delivered and say, this is how many goals you're scoring. This is where you're ranking on fitness. This is where your defense is. This is the brrrr, and it just goes on and goes on and goes on. That is a lot to handle for a young child. I don't care how evolved you are. Like, there's no longer fun anymore, right? And
exactly.
that steals, you talked about your light and your joy. That steals the light and joy of why we even show up, right? It
exactly.
This isn't professional sports. This, at the time, you're 9, 10, 11, 12 years old.
Right.
You're figuring your life out. You're figuring yourself out. You're going for the social aspect. You're also going for the aspect of building grit, courage, companionship. Like, you, as a kid, you want friends. You want to be held in the way to, like, there's so much positivity that brings to your life when you talk about sport, because it gives us so much to carry the rest of our life. I'm curious, after going through such a hard, powerful, like, confronting experience, what is dance like now in this, as an adult? Like, how is it still a part of your life, and how does it show up in your space? Like, do you still love it? Does it still bring you joy? Or have you shut that door and you're not ready to reopen that just yet?
I haven't shut the door on it. I actually recently started taking ballet classes again.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and I found a lot of joy in that. It's been fun, and it's a challenge, like, seeing my body in a black leotard and in pink tights, and I'm like, this feels weird. I'm like, I feel like a kid again, but it's good. It's good. It's like going back to my roots, and being in a positive space to do it, where it's like I can be carefree, I could make mistakes. I don't have to be. I don't feel like I have to be perfect. Yes. So it's been a great way for me to, like, connect back to my roots
and find that love.
It's been find that love. It's been grounding, and I don't think I'm ever gonna give up dance. I think I'm always going to be dancing, even if I, like, I take a little break because I get busy. Like, I'm gonna always keep dance in my life because it's taught me so much. Dance is good for your body, like, it's expression, like, it's good for your soul, you know what I mean? So, I want to continue dancing.
Good.
Also because, I work in the entertainment industry, and I want to continue with acting and all those things, and I know dance is going to help me with that. I know dance is going to guide me through that. It's going to always come in handy, you know what I mean? So for me, dance is always going to be a part of me no matter what, and I think being at this age now, like, I know that, for, like, dance is always going to be a part of me. If you would have asked me probably, like, 7 or 8 years, I'm like, I don't know, like, it might not be for me anymore, but I truly, like, believe that dance is always going to be a part of my life. So right now I dance for fun. I dance because it feels good, because it brings me joy. And I've taken a lot of the pressure off of it, because it's not necessary, because it's not necessary.
It's good. And I think, finding that joy and that light that gave you so much purpose and an identity before the cameras stole that from you a little bit. And,
Mm-hmm.
writing this book, Bottom of the Pyramid, being a New York Times bestselling author, a lot of people love this book. A lot of people, there's so much buzz about it. Do you feel like the book gave you closure?
The book definitely gave me closure to tell my side of the story. And like I still understand, like I'm not stupid. Like I understand
Hmm.
like some people are going to read it, some people aren't going to care. Some people I'm not going to change their minds. They're still going to be like, "Well, you just weren't good enough and you just can't handle." Okay, whatever. Like there's not like,
Mm,
I the book, yes, it is for other people. It's for people to at least see me and see that like they can get through whatever they're going through, like to
yeah.
show them that it does get better. But also the book was for me. The book was for like that little girl who started the show, who wasn't able to talk about how she felt, who wasn't able to express how she was feeling or how things went down, or like
Mm,
so first and foremost, like the book was for me, like for that little girl to finally get her story told,
oh, powerful.
whether people want to listen, like that's their business, but I'm grateful for how many people have picked up the book, have read it, have listened to it. Um, it's it really does mean a lot to me, and I don't think people like I hope people understand that, because I that's why I kind of like I love going on tour for the book, because I've been
Yeah.
able to meet people and talk to them. But I just hope people realize how much it means to me that they care, and they care still even after all this
Hmm.
time. Even if I wasn't the best dancer, that they understand that I don't care if I was the best dancer. I don't care if I wasn't the best dancer. It does not give someone the right to treat a child that way. I'm
No.
sorry, but it doesn't. And sometimes,
Mm-mm.
and people love to use that as a scapegoat. They're like, well, you just weren't good. And it's like, even if I wasn't good, it still does not give someone that right to treat me poorly, to treat me like
Yeah.
garbage, so it's a good discussion, and I'm happy that I'm able to talk about it, because it brings up a whole nother discussion about not just like dance and the entertainment industry, but just mental health in general, so we're
That
able to have
part.
so many different conversations about mental health, about race, about growing up in the entertainment industry. So it brings up a lot of different
Mm.
topics that I'm finally able to talk about. Um and I know that it's helping people, because people have told me that it's helped them. So I'm happy. Yeah.
This is what we spoke about at the beginning of the show, is now you do have the language to articulate the feelings and the things you had to walk through at such an early age, and now stepping into the entertainment industry. I know you're in the music industry. How do you protect your peace now after growing up in that dance studio when you didn't have any?
Yeah. Um For me, I feel like I'm definitely still a work in progress. I'm still trying to figure that part out, if I'm being
Hmm.
honest.
Yeah.
But I think some things that just help me is like taking more time to myself. I'm
Yeah.
always just kind of like you said, on to the next thing, and like not really like, just I have a lot of goals. I'm a very ambitious person, but
Hmm.
sometimes I forget to slow down. So,
Yeah.
slowing down every now and then and filling my own cup, doing whatever
Hmm.
that may be, something for me that has been awesome for protecting my peace, but then also just like grounding myself, getting my head right. It's something that I can do, that's like, okay, you're doing this for yourself. I do hot yoga. I love it. It's something that centers me, it grounds me. So I just, for me, movement and always moving my body, that's something
Hmm.
that brings me peace. It always quiets my mind.
Hmm.
So that's just something that I take with me. And part of the reason why I started, I continue to dance, is because, movement helps always.
Yes.
Even if it doesn't make you feel 100% better, it'll make you feel 1% better. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it does,
Mm-hmm.
it helps. It helps.
What I'm resonating, like I hear you and what you're saying. I think as you grow and you mature and you find yourself in every phase, because we're always evolving. I think women,
Mm-hmm.
especially as they get older, you realize that your no's become just as powerful as your yeses. And I think
Mm-hmm.
when we were younger, it was yes, 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 sure, I'll do this, I'll do, and like I think in these, I hope for you in these next phases when you're talking about filling your cup up and your boundaries and your process and protecting your mental and physical health, that your no's are just as powerful as your yeses. And I think that's really,
Mm-hmm.
really hard for women. And especially in the industry we live in and sport and entertainment, it's like we want to say yes to everything and we wear ourselves
Yeah.
so thin. And especially being an empath and someone who is born to serve other people, you lose yourself in that process of saying yes,
Oh,
yes,
for
yes, yes, yes,
sure.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And like that is my hope for you, is that you're comfortable enough to have that boundary to say no and to really understand what your body is asking of you so you can give it to yourself and feed your soul. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, like, what message do you want your readers to walk away with this book? I know you said this book is about you, but it has
Yeah.
so much power in taking back your own wants and needs and narrative and things that were stolen from you at such an early age, but also accountability. There's just so many great parts to this.
Mm-hmm.
And for our audience out there, like, what do you want them, most importantly, if you've ever been misunderstood, which we all are all the time, what do you want them to take away from this book?
Oh gosh, there's so much. I mean, I think for a personal level for me, um, I just want people to see me because for so long I
Yeah.
felt hidden. I felt like I, was just a backup dancer, you know. So I really for me, I wanted people to see me for me and to understand like who I was and the kind of person I am, and everything that I went through. But then also at a
Mm,
different level, because yes, this book's for me, but it's also another reason why it's important is because I know that my story resonates with a lot of people because a lot of people have had similar stories. Like it's not that uncommon, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
Mine just happened to be televised and slightly different, but people have very similar experiences in sports, being a black girl in white spaces, like so it's like it's
Mm,
being the underdog, like people have the same experiences, just different,
yeah.
and I wanted this book to be some beacon of hope.
Mm,
That's really what I want it to be because things get hard and it gets really tough, but I think it's really important for people to always understand that things always get better. And I think my book is like a really good example of that because I went through so much, it's really crazy, really awful, really terrible things at times, really sad at times, but I always showed up for myself. And
mhm.
when you continue to keep showing up for yourself, even whenever things get hard, it's going to be okay. Like you're going to get out of it and you're going to always be okay, no matter what
Yeah.
anyone says.
That's
And I
beautiful.
think I think that's really important. I think it's a really important message for everyone, but specifically like young readers or like young
Mhm.
people, like for them to see like okay, like it's going to get okay. It's always going to be okay. And yeah, so that's probably
Well,
the biggest message.
that's powerful and beautiful, and I want you to know I see you. And
Thank
thank you for
you.
your honesty, your leadership, your grace, the impact you've had on so many young girls, especially those who needed to see someone endure but also evolve. I think that is
Thank
the
you.
message. And it's so
Mhm.
beautiful and it's so powerful. Thank you for your honesty, your vulnerability. I know this probably was not easy to go back and walk this pain to write this book. So thank you for doing that and being brave enough to do that. And yes, everyone out there, please go check out Nia's book, Bottom of the Pyramid. You won't be disappointed. It's a beautiful book. Thank you for being on Wide Open, Nia. I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ashlyn. I really appreciate it as well.
Before we go, I want to just say thank you, Nia. Not just for sharing your story, but for sharing it with such honesty, grace, and intention. Growing up in the spotlight can either harden you or help you find yourself. And Nia's journey is such a powerful reminder that you can move through pressure and expectation without losing your softness or your integrity. Her story isn't about surviving a moment, it's about evolving beyond it. If you're listening and you're in the season of redefining who you are, I hope today's conversation reminded you that you get to choose your pace, your boundaries, and most importantly, your joy. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for staying wide open with me. I'll see you next time.